What has been predicted to happen September 23rd and 24th of this year? It's what so-called religious or conservative people are saying could be the end. Now, I have a problem with that. We'll discuss why I have a problem with that and what I believe is going to happen on September 23rd. I think you could probably guess my answer, but we're going to discuss it. Also, we're going to talk about Section 8 housing, government housing, how people are up in arms. Democrats are up in arms about what Trump just said about his goal for people who are living strictly on the government. Should you work? I would think so. Should you, if you're not working, have some kind of community service? I would think so. Should there be requirements for you to have food and housing provided by the government? I should think so. But people are very upset that government just does not give them handouts inevitably. We're going to discuss this, how we're building this mentality that the government is supposed to take care of us. That is not correct. Then we're going to discuss what the American Academy of Pediatrics just said. It's amazing how we want doctors to tell us what's best for us. And truthfully, I really don't know anymore. Do they actually know what's best for us, or do they know how to keep you in control? We're going to discuss that, and also what RFK said about Ozempic, about how now Medicare allows for Ozempic to be covered for weight loss and for other treatments. But why? Is it because it is a necessity, or is it because a lot of money's been flowing to congressmen? We're going to discuss what RFK said about both of these situations, because it speaks very much intense to what a doctor told me the other day, how sometimes it's not about them teaching you better wellness or better health or lifestyle changes. It's about, look, just take this or take that or get this or get that, and it's all going to just be better. Is it going to be better, truthfully? Last two stories. We're going to talk about what Trump said about salvation, heaven, and how I believe that it actually hurt me a little bit because I want people to know God. We're going to discuss that story, and also what Elon Musk just made a major announcement about. Is he starting this third party? Is it going to disrupt everything? What did he actually say? And my thoughts on it. Let's dive into all these stories today. Hey guys, welcome to our channel. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new, please go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. You can give me a thumbs down too if you don't like it, but ultimately I hope that you get something out of this video. Comment below, tell us your thoughts, and that way we can talk amongst ourselves in the community tab, and that way we can see, okay, this is why we believe this is why we don't believe this is why we think this is good. Opinions are good. It helps us gain wisdom and a common sense knowledge to get through this crazy world that we live in. Now let's dive into the stories of the day. First, let's talk about this September 23rd, 24th thing, and that rolls right into what President Trump said about heaven and some of the kind of weird things that he said. As a Christian and as someone who supports Trump, it kind of hurt me emotionally just because I want him to have the truth, and I believe that I wish there was people around him really proclaiming truth. But let's dive into these stories, because I think this is what scares me about Christian movements and about faith, is because I do want people to have Christianity and faith, but I want them to have the truth sense of that matter. Listen to this. This comes out, it says, breaking, we believe September 23rd and 24th, everything will change. We believe that millions of Christians will be raptured within that time frame. Now, I want to say two things about this. One, I do believe in the rapture. I do believe as a Christian in pre-tribulation rapture. I do believe that. I believe that this will come. I believe we will be called up. I do believe that. Secondly, though, when people start proclaiming dates and prophesying dates, that's when I start having a major problem, because it says in my scripture, and if you're reading the Bible, that no one knows the time, not even the Son of God. We don't know. So that's why here's what we always tell people, and this is the most important thing. This is not just talking about physically preparing, but this is talking spiritually preparing. We have to live as if God was coming back today, that Jesus was coming to rapture his church and we were going home. As that is the case, we are still living in this world. So we have to live in the world, but not of the world, meaning we have to put on our, take up our cross and follow him daily and understand the value of living a Christian life. We have to go throughout life. We have to eat. We have to drink. We have to take care of our children. We have to plan for retirement. We have to plan as if we were going to be here forever, knowing that's not the case. But then spiritually, we have to prepare as he's coming back today. That means we live different. We want different things in life, but ultimately we are still trying to thrive to be the very best human we can be. Now, when people start throwing out dates, it makes me say, what is their initiative and their goal? Is it because they want to gain more money? Is it they want to gain prestige? Is it they want the clicks? Is it that they want to give this fear or this false hope? It could be all that. But here's my main goal when you start hearing this kind of stuff. There will be many of people and ministers and people around you that spew things that are not true, that actually call themselves and claim themselves to be Christians or followers of Christ, and it's not that case at all. When I hear that people are turning back to God and to church, I love that. However, I want to make sure that we're turning back to the one true God and the one true church. If anybody questions God, please, first of all, get in your word, get in your Bible, spiritually prepare. Because that's the only way that I get through all the junk in the world that we go through is because I'm spiritually grounded. I want my children to be spiritually grounded. So our goal is to always make sure that we're going to a church that is Bible-led. That's the main thing. When people start throwing these kind of dates up, it makes me say, wait, what is your goal and initiative behind this? If you're falsifying this kind of stuff, you are a false prophet. And that scares me because I think it makes people fear something that may be true, but just not on this timetable. Please pay attention to these kind of stories, because I do believe they lead us astray more than they actually lead us to Christ. And this is what scares me the most about anyone wearing the name of faith or Christ or Christian, because who are they actually leading for? A true threadbare Christian is going to live for Christ. They're not going to be cursing every other word. They're not going to be living in sin every day. Now, we are sinners, so things happen. But we're going to be striving to be better. If someone says they're Christian and not doing those things, then be very wary to follow their leading. This is another form of that. If someone's telling you to prepare and give all this money and to try to do all this stuff to get to heaven, none of that matters. The only thing it is knowing Jesus, and that's the key. Can he come back on the 23rd or 4th? Sure. He can come back tomorrow. He can come back today. Is that time drawing near? Probably. But that's not for us to know. It's for us to have faith in him to know that's going to be okay. Now, it leads me right into the next story with Trump. Trump made a comment that, again, sometimes the spiritual leaders around him, some of them are great people, but some of them scare me because I don't know truly how does Trump really understand salvation and faith in Christ. And again, this goes back to the same conversation that sometimes we surround ourselves with people that may not be leading us in the right way. I want you to listen to what he says. He said, I want to try to get to heaven if possible. And what he's talking about, he's using this as a tongue-in-cheek. He's trying to say, if I end the war, I think this will be good for me. This will give me good graces. And this is almost like a works mentality. He says, everybody says I'm at the bottom of the totem pole, but I do believe that I want to express humility and peace, but ultimately I want to desire to be close to God. Well, that's all great. One thing I've realized, though, is as a Christian, we can only strive, but we're imperfect, and God is perfect. What I don't want to lose, I don't want people like Trump or any one of these people to have a false hope in what it actually means to be saved and be a Christian. Now, this is not meant to be a spiritual video, but these two things were just right in our headlines today. And we have all these Republican pundits pushing that, oh, we love that Trump is being more humble and he's showing humility and he's talking about getting to heaven. Yeah, but he didn't say one thing about what that actually means and how to get to heaven. So, honestly, like Mike Huckabees, the spiritual advisors around him, the Franklin Grahams, the quote-unquote Christians around him that's in his cabinet, this may be the time that you start bringing up faith and what faith really is. This man's 79. He has this very stressful job. And if people really wanted impact of God, I would love to see more influencing and more politicians actually come to know the one true God. I think a lot of people like to wear that label, but the way that Congress operates, the way that some influencers speak, the way that sometimes people act may not actually be representing Christ. What I would hope is that people around Trump come back and say, you know what? There is a way to heaven, and I hope you know it. And that may be awkward, it may be weird, and it may be weird that you're hearing that now, but truthfully, if you get nothing out of any of my videos, if you get nothing out of any of my prepping, my homesteading, my sustainable living, you get nothing out of who I am, one thing I do want you to know is, first and foremost, I am a Christ follower. And when I see stories like this, it scares me because I don't want anyone to be led astray of works mentality or this prophesied date that these things are correct, because they're not. You know who could impact the world more than anybody? Is people like Trump, people like Rogan, people like Obama. These kind of people, if they really come to know the one true God and have a relationship with Him, the Elon Musk, all those kind of people, if they become true Christians, they can impact the world, and we can actually not see just America great again, we can actually see revival and reawakening. And to me, that's the only hope for America, is revival. So when we talk about the 24th or 23rd of September, or we hear that Trump's talking about heaven, what I don't want us to lose focus on is religious talk is okay. Religious speak is okay. But understanding what true Christianity and spiritual things really are, that's what matters. Let's not lean on falsities. Let's lean on the Bible. All right, so that's my spiritual talk for today. I just wanted to get those out of the way because I see all this stuff trending, that Trump's talking about heaven and these dates are coming and we should be ready. We should be ready every day. And if you truly love God, I hope that first of all, you're praying for your nation, praying for your leaders. And I hope that Democrats and Republicans alike change their ways and repent and become saved. That's the only way we could truly heal our nation. Now I want to jump in a few more stories. This is from RFK. I thought this was really good because it talks about how people are pretty much bought off when it comes to our lobbying and with pharma. Listen to this. RFK said today. RFK said this. He said, today over 100 members of Congress support a bill to fund Ozempic with Medicare, meaning government-funded ways of weight loss. And absolutely, I know that Ozempic was made as a diabetic drug, but to be honest with you, if you start looking back in history and how diabetics and diabetes really came upon us, the kind that you basically develop, that and Alzheimer's, all those things really goes back to our food system. Truthfully, if you go back and do your research, I just honestly believe it all deals with the junk that we're putting in our bodies. But what we're seeing is Ozempic has been used more for not diabetes, but for weight loss. It's a quick, easy button. The thing is, what people don't realize is once you get on this, it's pretty much one of those things that you have to have a regimen for the rest of your life in some form or fashion, or your body will be even more unhealthy. So now you're starting to see these people push to get Ozempic to where government has to fund it, which means government doesn't fund it. We fund it. We fund it for everyone else. It says most of these members have taken money from the manufacturer of this product. That's what RFK says. He says they want to push and recommend Ozempic to Americans that are young and have a condition of obesity. Instead of telling them that this is preventable, instead of telling them lifestyle changes matter, he said we did not face this 50 to the 100 years ago. He said there was no such thing as this big push for obesity. He said most people now are overweight, and it's not because they need medicine, it's because their lifestyle could have been changed and prevented in this way if we would have just changed their food, and that doctors were not pushing certain things. They were pushing lifestyle and healthier choices. I mean, prime example of what he just said. Because here's the thing. If you need medicine, and medicine could be a great thing, it could be a great way to heal our bodies, but it should not be the only way. I believe that we can look at normal herbal remedies. I believe we can look at health and food. For instance, what I've learned is a lot of times God provided everything that we needed. We just don't know the knowledge of it, or we've not gained enough common sense and wisdom to seek out what God had provided for us through herbs and medicines and eating healthy diets. And I think that's what RFK is actually bringing to attention. Now, that brings up this next point of why this is important, because what me and my wife have talked about, my wife's a nurse, worked alongside tons of doctors. In the field that I'm in, I see a lot of doctors and understand what they're dealing with, especially back in 2020. I saw a lot of that. I want you to listen to this. The American Academy of Pediatrics is urging children between 6 months and 23 months, meaning under 2 years of age, to get the CV-19, and advises to do this in a point where they have the greatest risk. Now, this age bracket had a 0.002 chance of actually having a problem from CV-19. That means it's like 1,000% chance of 1%. So 1,000th of a 1% chance that this would be a problem. And now they're wanting to put this into your children. This is the American Academy of Pediatrics. So here's my thought pattern. Here's what I want to make sure you understand. If your doctor is not telling you to just be healthy, to eat good, to breastfeed your children, to make sure that you have the best diets for them, to make sure they're active, running, having a good time, understanding what a kid means. And they're telling you, no, that's not good. All it takes is you just keep putting junk in them. You keep putting junk in them. You keep putting junk in them. We're going to make sure they have 20, 30, 40 of these things before they're age 2. If you believe that that's what's best for your child, then there's a problem and you've been indoctrinated. Now we have an association that is based on mostly every pediatrician telling you to get this in your kid's arm instead of actually telling them to be healthy and to try to live a life that's sustainable without this kind of junk. I love this comment right here because this shows exactly where we're at. This is from Wide Awake Media. It says, what if I told you that the 2020 crisis was just an experiment? What if it seemed like the response of health problems was in fact just a test of measure of obedience? To see how far humanity would go when it came to safety and security without questioning the leadership. Listen to this. He said, lockdowns, restrictions, passports, protocols, everything being recorded, measured, and analyzed. The human body treated as just a test subject. Society like a laboratory. What if I just told you it was all a test for the next big thing? How many people listen to these doctors and listen to these people like the Congress who's now saying Ozempic is what you need, but actually it's just because they've received millions into their wallets to tell you what you need. Bill Gates is no doctor, but somehow we put him on TV and he tells us all the things that we need and for global health. What it really probably shows is how much money that's funneling into his businesses because of this quote-unquote global health. Just be very wary of what people are telling you. You know what I tell you all the time. What do I say? I say do your research, because the things that I tell you, I want you to listen to. I hope it does impact you and influence you, but really more than that, I hope you just dig into it yourself to say, dang, that is true. Oh yeah, I don't know if I like that, but it's true. Like for instance, you know, we were frowned upon when we said and told our doctors back even in 2020 when Livy was born, we're not getting all this stuff put in my children. We're not doing all that. I mean, it got to a point where people, there was doctors that we knew personally that would frown upon us and was almost like, you are doing a disservice. You are causing major harm. And all we were trying to do was just go back to normal and say, you know what? Well, God kind of gives us the smarts here. We believe in natural birth. We believe in natural breastfeeding. We believe in natural diets. We believe that we don't need 150 things going in my child's arm under 2 that nobody really knows what it does, other than we realized our mortality is not longer. We realized our children are more unhealthy. We realized that our humans are more unhealthy. And we think that the answer is actually what the Pediatric Association says, or the doctors or the Congress say, when they've all been bought out. I mean, just think about it. You work for someone, and that when whoever you work for, you pretty much don't speak ill of them because they're the ones that's actually funneling money to you to pay for you. You know, if you work for a realty company, you're not going to go and actually badmouth that realty company and promote another one, because ultimately you're getting paid by that realty company. If you work for the Dodge dealership and you're selling Dodges and they're the ones paying you, then you're not going to go and say Dodges are crappy, we're going to go buy Ford. No, you're going to actually promote and impact and influence who is paying you. So when you hear these kind of talks from now the doctors, every story RFK is saying, look, don't give your kids this. We recommend that you don't. And the American Association of Pediatrics still backed it. RFK saying, look, we don't need this in our Medicare spending. We don't need Ozempic in there. If someone wants to buy it, they need to be able to buy it. But it's not for the rest of the American citizens to buy, because it's not something that we have to have. We could have lifestyle changes. Well, it's not what Congress thinks, because Congress has been bought out. It's a lobbying. So now you watch. You will be paying for everyone to have this weight loss drug that's going to be completely basically taking over your life, because ultimately everybody that takes these kind of drugs will be on them for the rest of their life. So that means they're a forever patient. When you put stuff in your body, you become forever patients. Forever patients makes them forever money. Now let's move into what the Section 8 housing is, and how the liberals and really people are going crazy over it. I call the lazy people going crazy over it. But before we do, I want to mention this too. Elon Musk just made a monster announcement. It says he is considering backing J.D. Vance for 2028 rather than starting the new party. Now, this could be a good thing and a bad thing. Now, I've always told you, actually, I like J.D. Vance. I love hearing him speak. He's a little bit more crass, and he curses. He talks about drinking all the time. So He reminds me of a college boy still, hadn't grown up. But he's a brilliant guy, and probably I like him because he's not so over political. I do like that about him. But he's always been the one that's been the dark horse. This guy really came from nowhere, became tied to Teal, then became tied to the Senate race, and then was basically put in as VP with a lot of big players from the technocracy, from Silicon Valley, because he was a big part of that. So is it good that he may be supported by Elon Musk? Yes, because I do believe that J.D. Vance is probably a better leader than some of the other ones. I like him a lot better than like the George Bushes. I do. I like him a lot better than like the Ted Cruzes because they're too political and too much of a hack from the Senate. I don't like career politicians. So I do like that fact of what Elon is saying when he supports J.D. Vance. I am still wary because with the technocracy comes a lot of power and comes a lot of surveillance, a lot of different changes to the grid, a lot of different phases. I think a lot of these people with technocracy were all liberals. They actually were not conservatives at all, but they became, the Overton window shifted so much, kind of like Elon, like Chamath, like David Sachs, even like Donald Trump. They remind you of like Clinton Democrats. They believe in fiscally conservative, but they're really all socially liberal. To me, that doesn't represent truly conservative. So do I believe J.D. Vance would fit and be a good fit? And I'm glad that Elon Musk is not trying to start this third party because ultimately that would hurt the Republicans. That's all great. But still, just be very wary of the technocracy. I don't want us to ever put our full hope and assurance into anyone who wants surveillance of us. And that's a lot of times what, not really Elon, but a lot of those supporters in the Silicon Valley space, a lot of these AI situations are looking for power. And J.D. Vance may be their inroads to get that full power because he is fully backed by them. I like J.D. Vance. Please do not take this in a way that I'm not supportive of Trump and J.D. Vance. What I'm saying though is anytime we put our faith, hope, and trust into politicians, I believe they will let us down in a way. No one's perfect. We understand that. Do I believe that he would be better than a lot of the people that would run against him? Absolutely. But I still want us to have a very, very, very conscientious thought pattern to say we need to make sure that we call the balls and strikes. His biggest supporters are the same people pushing this AI technology, pushing this crypto technology, pushing this power grab. So, good news that Elon's not trying to really start this third party. He's probably going to end up coming back to the MAGA, the American First Base. But at the same time, be very wary of who they support and making sure that they're doing what Americans want and not what Silicon Valley wants. The biggest liberals in Silicon Valley, like Reid Hoffman, who is a big World Economic Forum guy who hates Trump, who loves, the liberal way of thinking. He even said I think it was like 2 weeks ago, he said that the liberals and the Democrats have pretty much left us. And so we've just naturally gravitated towards the Republican movement. A lot of Silicon Valley has done that. A lot of tech billionaires have done that. Now, he hasn't because he doesn't like Trump. But be very careful of that because when that Overton window switches and changes, are we revamping the Republican Party? Are we going to become more conservative or just more liberal? Are we going to become more freedom-oriented or more surveillance-oriented? We just need to pay attention to that. It's not a word of disapproval, it's a word of caution. And I think that we need to be very wary of anyone who's got to power very quickly. I think of this with Obama too. He just like that, start him. Just be careful. We need to just keep our eyes focused on truly who is wanting American policies. And I think that's what, again, would help Americans stay on top and not be putting us into our own prison. Just be careful of that. I like the fact that Elon Musk is not starting a third party. It looks like he's going to end up moving and gravitating back towards Trump and J.D. Vance, which is a good thing. Now let's jump into this Section 8 house, and we're going to kind of end with this. There's been outrage with people losing a lot of their SNAP benefits and a lot of their Section 8 housing. Leading report just came out and said Trump's HUD administration has proposed kicking out able-bodied adults after 2 years of Section 8 housing if they have no work requirements, if they've not been at work, and they've not tried to actually have limits on this. Now, I think it's crazy that we're giving people 2 years of free living when they don't have to show requirements of work and that they're trying. I don't understand that. I don't even know why we do 2 years. I believe that if we give them some kind of unemployment or Section 8 or housing or SNAP benefits, I think at the start of that, I think you should have a 30 to 60 day windows of those free benefits. And I think after that, you should have to start showing that you're trying to work, showing that you're trying to find a job, showing that you're actually taking the step to make your life better on your own without government intervention. I believe if you're getting Medicaid, you should make sure that you're following guidelines of working. I believe if you're getting SNAP, you should be eating things that are holistic and not trash food, and that you should be trying to better yourself. Same way with Section 8 housing. Now there's people up in arms, and liberals too, saying that Trump is trying to kick people out of government housing. It's not that he's trying to kick people out of government housing, but what he's trying to say is, look, you should want better for yourself. It is not my job to pay for your Ozempic. It is not my job to pay for your Section 8 housing. It's not my job to pay for your SNAP benefits. Now, do I want to help people out that's in dire straits? Absolutely. There's so many times that we've done that. There's so many times that churches have done that. There's so many times that I want government to help people. During Katrina, during these North Carolina issues, during the California fires, during the Hawaii fires, I want the government to step in and help people. But to say that somebody can just live free of charge and not have anything other than just playing video games or just waking up when they want to, going to buy Cheetos when they want to, going to buy crap food from the store when they want to, eating fast food, and never do anything to show work requirements or community service requirements, I think that's the wrong way of doing it. If you're not disabled and you're able-bodied, you should not be living it for 2 years, even 2 years on this program. You have Democrats and liberals that are actually saying it's wrong to even put any work requirements on anyone getting government housing. Now, I don't know about you. If I don't pay my property tax, they take my house that's paid for. I don't know about you. Government didn't pay for my housing. I don't know about you. I work a job, then I work a side hustle, and then I also have another full-time job. I don't know about you, but the government's not helping me any. Actually, they're taking from me still, and I told you I was supposed to get a tax return this year, and I still hadn't got it. They just keep saying they're working on it. So when I hear stories like this, I'm all for it. I'm 100% in agreement that we shouldn't be providing housing, food, or any assistance for anyone who is not willing to try to help themselves. If you are able-bodied and you're not working, but you're getting all these government assistance, I have a major problem with that. Because I'm getting up 4 a.m. and going to bed at 10 p.m., working myself to pieces to provide. And I imagine you're doing the same thing, trying to make it while these people are getting free housing. There's been viral TikToks of people getting upset that they're having to actually help pay for their own groceries. There's people upset that they're having to do community service hours to get the benefits that they're getting. I'll be honest with you. We're building a slave mentality. We're building a dependent mentality. We're building a complete and utter socialist mentality to where people believe that the government is supposed to take care of them all the way throughout their life. This is what happens when you allow government to be in your schools. You take Christ out of your homes. You take the breakdown of the family and not try to help promote it. And you as government step in and we give them way too much power. We have to get back to the basis of understanding independence and understanding really as a human being, you should want better for yourself. You should want to work. Can government help you? Absolutely. I have no problem with that. But if you're getting government assistance and help and housing, it should be completely to a point where you're trying all your hardest to get away from that. You shouldn't wear it as a prideful thing. You should wear it as government's helping me. I want to get to the next step. This is just transitional. That's the way that we should look at this instead of people wanting to live off the government. Living off the government is socialism, people. That is the communistic way. If that's what we're going for, boy, the Democrats are really pushing for it. This is not what we need. Now, let's wrap this up. One thing, if you see this whole video, and by now you've went through the religious part of this, you've went to the part of the conservative part of this, you went to the part that I've even bashed Republicans and Democrats. But all in the while, what we've seen is that men will let you down. From them telling you the religious things that really are not happening and they can't set the time, to the point where our leadership is not leaning as conservative as they should, to where our Congress is now wanting you to pay for more medicines because they've been bought out. And even RFK is saying we shouldn't be giving this to our children, so then can we trust doctors? People will let you down. But one thing that's true is this: no one will love your family as much as you love your family. No one will care for you as much as your spiritual father. So one thing I've learned is this: I'm going to rely on Christ, put my faith in him, and I'm going to love my wife and my children and be the best steward with what God's given me. I'm going to take care of them. If I want to take care of them, that doesn't mean living on the government. If I want to take care of them, I'm going to work as hard as I possibly can to make sure they know I love them, and then I'm here to make sure that I can take care of them. Simple as that. I'm not going to juice them full of stuff. I'm not going to give them crappy foods. I'm not going to allow them to see their dad living strictly on the government just because he didn't want to work and he's lazy. And I'm not going to allow everybody to set the precedent for my home. Independent sustainability, preparing, not only physically, mentally, and emotionally, but spiritually, is the way. If we want true change in America, men better rise up and be better and be more independent, be more spiritual, and actually realize that they need to do their own research and for themselves gain wisdom. When they start gaining wisdom, they start seeing things for what they really are. Guys, let me know your thoughts. God bless.